be my good enough. My mom and I want to introduce someone here to the world.
She is someone who graduated from Harvard.
Someone who's a Swiftie, a table tennis pro, and can balance on her hands.
And someone who knows all about the future.
Wow, and I am still here figuring out what I want to be when I grow up. Maybe a virtual makeup artist or a sustainability-focused fashion designer. Today, we're going to meet someone who can help us all, grown-ups and kids, understand what jobs are going to look like in the future.
The world is changing very fast, and Vibha has researched how it is going to impact all our careers.
Is AI really going to change everything? Like maybe one day robots will do all my homework, I can take a flying taxi to school, or we will plan our next vacation to Mars?
Well, with this book, we will all be ready for whatever is coming next.
Mom, will I have to learn new skills to enjoy the adventure?
Absolutely. This book tells you the A to Z of all the skills we will need in the future.
Seems like creativity and problem solving are going to be super important because robots can't do everything.
Yeah, today they can't, but they are surely catching up.
Whoa, this sounds interesting. So without further ado, let's give a big round of applause to the person who's going to guide us through this exciting future. My Mossy.
My sister, Vibha Kagzi.
Thank you both so much. Good evening, everyone. Tonight's very special for me, not just because I'm launching my second book, Break the Career Code, Embrace the Future of Work, but because I get to share this special moment with all of you.
Hey, AI, I can't believe you're already taking over my job.
Of course, this book is a lot about me and how I influence the human world. I am naturally programmed to take over. Also could not miss out on the chance to converse with all the esteemed panelists and update my data.
Well, thank you for that thoughtful gesture, AI. But since I wrote this book, I'm going to ask you to exit now. All right. I'm super elated and excited to be here in the presence of my dearest family who have supported both me and my company since the day we were both born. So thank you all, Jains, Kagzis, Goyals, Podars, Garodias, you know who you are. Thank you all for everything you've always done for me. Thank you. Also, thanks to all the really close friends who've been here, the EO community, the LWL community, so many of my JB, Carnegie, Harvard people. Thank you all for being here. It really, really means a lot that you're all here with me. And of course, so many of the experts who are here with us. Thank you all experts for being here. We have present with us some of the smartest brains and the warmest hearts in the country. Highest combination of IQ and EQ, both very necessary for the future. Present here. Highest IQ and EQ the Trident has ever had, I was told. So how did this idea even come to us, right? Why write a book on the future when there's just so much going on in the present? So as you know, I've been mentoring students at Reach IB for around 13 years now, and the conversation started to take a new turn. Priyanka, you know this conversation we've had, right? Will my career even exist when I graduate? Is it worth studying computer science, Neil, if AI is going to code for you? Am I learning what I need for tomorrow's world? So when Zebra Learn, our publishers, approached me to write this book, I thought, there are questions that definitely need answers. The future of work is a critical and timely subject that addresses the profound transformations happening across industries. I quickly realized that the topic was very vast and I did not have all the answers. So I started casting a very wide net, seeking out experts across 6 continents, tapping into a very supportive group of friends and family. Connecting with the right voices was an adventure in itself. We scheduled, rescheduled, rescheduled interviews late at night, juggling time zones, calendars to speak with some of the brightest minds. The book has interviews from professors of Ivy League universities, the finest filmmakers, a NASA scientist, entrepreneurs, lawyers, musicians, artists. We really tried to bring in a unique perspective from various fields. It was such a thrill to speak to people who aren't just talking about the future, but creating it. But we didn't stop at interviews. We also poured over reports, journals, podcasts, TEDx talks, attended seminars, and lots of events to gather every ounce of knowledge we could. We wanted to ensure that the book was as rich in theory as it was diverse in practice. So what are some of the key learnings? So we learned that 10 years from now, artificial intelligence is going to be 10,000 times smarter than us humans. Are the forces of AI going to take over us? Will we be using AI for good or for evil? We also learned that the space crunch on Earth will reduce as the space opens up in outer space for recreation and business. We also learned that there are 1 billion humanoids currently in production. That's almost one more India being produced somewhere in the world. Soon, governments around the world are going to issue a 1 robot per family policy. As machines and AI increasingly handle routine, repetitive tasks, humans may shift their focus towards more creative and complex tasks, or we might become really lazy. We explore many such contradictions in the book. At its core, this book is about possibilities. It's about how we can arm ourselves with the tools, the mindset, and the resilience to not just survive, but thrive in the future. We made the book very easy to read. We really wanted both youngsters, adults, grown-ups to read the book. It's been complemented by some superb illustrations, and every interview we've done in the book has been digitally embedded in the book via a QR code, so you can read and watch at the same time. This past year has been really a roller coaster ride, complete with plot twists, aha moments, late-night phone calls, and definitely more coffee than anyone should legally consume. So whether you're a student, a professional, an entrepreneur, or a parent, I hope Break the Career Code helps you crack the code on navigating and owning this ever-evolving world of work. Here's to embracing the future of work together. Thank you all so much for being here. And on that note, let me invite my publishers, Anurag and Radhika from Zebra Learn. Please join us. Can we also have the core research team? Ashish Wang, wherever you are, please join us. Varsha, you around? Varsha, Gurpuneet, if you're around, please join us. Right, guys, come. Okay, we're going to do a countdown to the book launch. We're going to go 3, 2, 1, and then on the 1, everyone could say launch, and then the book will launch, yeah? All right? All right, please come, Gurpuneet, please turn. These are the publishers behind the book. They really supported us. It's been a really crazy year for all of us. Varsha, please join. All right. So if we're ready.
3,
2, 1. And with that, I'd like to start inviting our panelists on stage. Mr. Praveer Sinha, CEO and MD of the Tata Power Company. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, panelists, I've decided instead of reading out your bios, I think you're way too famous, so I'm not going to read this. I'm just going to share personal anecdotes with everyone. So, Mr. Sinha and I live in the same building, and day before he messaged me saying, hey, can I have a copy of the book? So I said, sir, we are going to be giving them to you at the event. So do you want me to send one? I'll still send one over. And he says, yes, send me one. I'd like to go through the book. I have the panel questions, and I'd like to prepare my answers in conjunction with the book. So that's what it takes to be CEO and Startup Power. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Next up, Mr. Nadir Godrej, Managing Director, Godrej Industries, Chairman, Godrej Industries. Does everyone know what Mr. Godrej does other than run one of the largest conglomerates in India or rather the world? Does anyone know what his other passion is? Poetry, exactly. That's what he does, and I don't know if we're going to have the time, but if he's in the mood, maybe he'll recite something quick about the future. That's Mr. Godrej for us.
That's good.
Next up, let me get a woman up on stage. Priyanka Khimani. Priyanka Khimani is a entertainment lawyer, founder of Khimani & Associates, a full-service law firm. Priyanka, I really had to get you on the panel because I figured 10 years from now, we couldn't afford you on this panel. So I know how every minute counts with your time. Thank you so much for being with us. Mr. Siddharth Roy Kapur, could you please join us on stage? Mr. Kapur, film producer, founder, and MD, of course, of Roy Kapur Films. He was one of my first interviews, and I was so intimidated and so nervous to talk to someone as handsome and as smart as him. But he really put me at ease, so thank you for that interview. I actually re-watched that interview just last night. It was such a beautiful interview. Guys, all these interviews are also available as podcasts on Spotify. I strongly encourage everyone watching the content that they were sharing. It was just fabulous. And of course, where's my dear Harsh Jain? Harsh Jain, please come on stage. I don't think Harsh needs an introduction in a country full of fanatics, cricket fanatics. But my thing about Harsh is anything to date that I have asked Harsh for, he has never said no to. Okay. Maybe Harsh, either your heart is too big or my asks are too small. I don't know which one it is, but Harsh, thank you really for being so supportive no matter what. And on that note, I'm going to join them on the panel and we're going to start the questions. So thank you. Okay, just what sector do you represent? And something interesting about your sector that you think will change in the future?
I represent the media and entertainment business.
Okay.
And I think like with most sectors, we're all presuming that we're going to change quite significantly with the advent of AI. In fact, Harsh and I happened to be on a panel just yesterday, so we are clearly panel colleagues 2 days in a row. And we were talking about AI yesterday, so I think that's like sort of top of mind right now.
I think I'm also an extension of what Sid is saying, entertainment and also tech. I think in my view, a lot of the manner in which we consume content and how it's monetized is going to change dramatically. In my view, I think we're already seeing it. Of course, AI is a big element, and we sort of see it from both sides, for and against, right? With how it's changing, how a lot of day-to-day entertainment works, how much on the one hand it can facilitate things, ease things, but on the other hand, there's serious concerns as far as inherent rights are concerned. So I think that's an area where we probably see a lot of changes.
Okay, let's bring the audience in on this. So Priyanka mentioned very clearly that it could go either way. How many people think AI is going to be used as a force for good? Let's see what the audience poll is. How many people think it's going to be used as a force for good? Those who aren't raising their hands are thinking it's going to be used as a force for evil. Good, we have a lot of good. A lot of potential. Are we saying AI has a lot of potential? Okay, great. So I think so it looks like a lot of people are voting for AI in its positivity. Your sector and one thing you think will change.
I represent two sectors. I'll start off with chemistry. And one thing that's going to change in chemistry, I feel, is feedstocks. So, a short poem. Crop yields are all on the rise, and so it's not a big surprise. Natural feedstocks are catching on. The fossil way may soon be gone. Of course, every chemist knows of oil and starch and cellulose. We've used sucrose and ethanol and started using glycerol. But now that in recent days we've made progress with cellulase, cheap simple sugars can lead the way, the dawning of a glorious day. And soon we'll make a giant leap as green energy gets very cheap. We can go where it's stranded or where power can't be landed. Iceland, the Sahara come to mind. Other distant places we could find. We could make methanol from CO2 and formic acid or oxalic acid too. This chemistry would be very clean and to my mind truly green. This may seem a fantasy, but in good time we will see. Today you'll hear realistically how with examples from here and now, how we should all proceed with green technology and succeed. The other sector is agriculture. And in India, we have a big challenge in agriculture because a lot of people are involved in agriculture and land holdings are very small. So we never had the advantages of scale. But now with AI and network effects, industry can connect with farmers, advise farmers, to tell them what to do in their field. And so small farm becomes part of a huge, big network. And this, I think, will revolutionize Indian agriculture. AI will have a role to play, and I think it'll be a very positive role.
Okay, terrific. Thank you, sir. So your sector and one thing you will think will change.
First of all, congratulations, Vibha, for breaking so many things, breaking the MBA code and the career code. I don't know what is the next thing that you are going to break. But let me tell you that I did go through the book, and it's amazing the way that you have covered a whole lot of sectors. And I think it's amazing the way that you have conceptualized and written the book. So all the best.
So kind, thank you. Coming from you, it means a lot, of course.
I think the world is changing, and the power sector, from where I come, has undergone a lot of disruption. There was one Mr. Edison in 1890s who discovered electricity, which all of you use in your house. And since then, there was one way of producing electricity and using unidirectional. But I think it has now gone many, many steps ahead. Now, every one of you can be a producer. You can produce in your house, in your factory, in your villages, in cities, anywhere you can produce, and you can use yourself and give it. So there is a new word that has come, which is known as prosumers. You are a producer and also a consumer of electricity, and you can do that. So that's the big change. The second, of course, Nadir mentioned about clean energy. I think the decarbonization is not about just using electricity, but how it will impact our life. Mobility will be a big change that will happen. And the third is, of course, the digital technology that again supports you in the way that you consume electricity and how you can utilize. So I think there is a whole lot of change that is happening, and consequent to that, we will find that in future, a lot of things will happen, which we had not envisaged in last 100 years. And I think this is one of the most exciting times to be in the world in terms of the technology interventions that will happen. So great opportunity for everyone, and I'm sure the way you have covered in your book, many of our youngsters, many of the people who are looking to do things differently can get inspired and take up those actions.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Harsh. I'm from tech, and we do a lot of work in sports. We also have one of the larger gaming companies in India called Dream11. So I think the way AI is going to materially impact our sector is actually hyper-personalization. So for example, we have 250 million Indians, 25 crore Indians on our app. Now to actually reach them, we went from, about a decade ago, everyone used to get the same SMS or the same WhatsApp or the same email. Then we started cohorting them. So bunches of people started getting it based on your likes and dislikes. But now what you'll have in the future is that every product that you touch will be hyper-personalized based on you, only on you, which is literally not possible. The compute power that you need is just enormous, and that can only happen with these GPUs that NVIDIA provides, that, at a 250 million user base, for me to open the Dream 11 app and Rohit Sharma pops up and says, "Hey Harsh, you haven't played for the last 3 days. Here's a 25 rupee discount to play a Mumbai Indians match. And, you can take Bumrah as captain because these are all the things I know about you." Or, you're a diehard Manchester United fan, and here's, Manchester United is playing West Ham in like 1.5 hours. So it will know everything based on your personal likes and dislikes, and will customize it real time for you individually. And that's a very difficult problem and a very powerful tool.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. So hyper-personalization, lots of connectivity, change in consumer behavior, change in consumer patterns, some of the glimpses of what AI is going to do to us. Has anyone heard of Ray Kurzweil? He's a computer scientist. He's sort of forefront of AI. I see Burgess nodding. Burgess knows everything, of course. So Ray has predicted that in 2029 is the consistent date I have predicted for when an AI will pass a valid Turing test, which therefore means that AI will achieve human levels of intelligence. 2029, when 2024 endish, 5 years, exactly. So how do you guys think this is going to really impact everyday life at work? Do you see AI really taking over chunks of your work as a filmmaker, a lawyer, businessman, CEO, and someone driving fantasy sports? How do you think work will really effectively change in your sectors?
So should I take that? I think if anyone at this point of time is very definitive about how AI is going to change things, then they're fooling themselves and fooling everyone else around them. The best that we can do right now is work with the information that we have at hand, which is that AI is definitely going to be a disruptor. Now, if we have to follow the dictum of embracing technology as it presents itself and not fighting it, which I think we should, we can look at the positive uses of it as being an enabler and being a tool. So in our business, for example, if it helps you to improve the quality of what you're putting out, if it helps you to reduce the time within which you take to either develop your scripts, do your pre-production, be more efficient in your production process, get better stories told, and then finally reduce your cost, of course, then it definitely is something that the film and entertainment industry will embrace. At the same time, you can't deny that there's a lot of consternation from the artists and from the creative community about how much it's going to impinge on their, on their own originality and their own uniqueness, and the fact that are they going to be replaced, right? And those are not easy answers. So while we're figuring out how exactly it's going to help us, we also need to build those guardrails as we're going. To be able to ensure that the moral and the ethical compulsions are also being taken into account, because that's when we'll be able to leverage the full benefit of the tool rather than, right now there are lots of sci-fi versions about where the world might go with AI, replacing us and these monster robots, sort of decimating the human race. I think that's also alarmist. But I don't quite know what it means when we say in 2029 AI is going to be as intelligent as a human being, because there is the blood and bones part of humanity that you can't disregard. And I don't know how AI can replace that.
Okay. So you're saying it seems like a cost tug at you at one level. AI is going to say, hey, we'll reduce the production cost of this film. We can dub these voices for free. You don't need to bring the artist in, pay for his hour of commitment. But at the same time, the authenticity and the artists are actually agreeing to this. So that sort of...
Yeah, I don't believe that it will replace the artist. I think if we can get the artistic community to understand it better so that they're able to leverage it as a tool, the way that they leveraged a word processor many years ago, or the way that they've leveraged the internet to improve the quality of the content that we're putting out, that I think would be the best outcome.
Okay. So trying to do it complicitly so that everyone's sort of in on this. Okay. You're sitting right in the middle of the artist and the film community. So please share your...
No, so I was going to add to that actually. At this point, as we speak, a lot of lawyers, and me included, are at the forefront of a lot of policy making around AI, right? And I think at this point, we're looking at it more closely from the entertainment industry's perspective, or from more social media technology. And there's lots of guardrails that are being put in place that we need to put in place. And I'm going to give you a simple story, right, about why and how. Very recently, there was actually one of the first arrests that was made for wrongful wrongfully using AI. There's a gentleman called Michael Smith who's actually an artist but used AI to ingest hundreds of thousands of pieces of music on all of the music streaming apps and ended up accumulating $10 million worth of royalties from different streaming platforms, right? YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, everything combined. And this was sort of very systematic. There's a thought process behind it that, because everything is an algorithm at the end of the day, that, okay, if I put out these many number of tracks and then use bots to generate these many number of streams on an average every month, then this is what I'm going to end up making. So anyway, I think the point of narrating this story is that there are lawmakers and there are prosecutors now who are sitting up, taking action. And the reason to make this arrest, it's happened in the US, in the state of New York, but I think the reason is to also sort of set precedent that it's not, I think a lot of people keep asking me that, but does the law need to change? No, the law doesn't need to change per se. There's enough and more even today within our criminal ecosystem, within our civil ecosystem, right? When it's misrepresentation, it's fraud, it's criminal breach, etc., etc. So I just feel that, yes, as far as at least the creative community is concerned, there's both uses and misuses. And I'm glad that as lawmakers, we get to be so involved with policy in changing times to try and strike that fine balance between enabling processes, but at the same time safeguarding human interests.
Okay. That's very beautifully framed. So I'm sensing a lot of the policy makers and the lawyers are going to come in and shape a lot of the entertainment space here. So
AI seems threatening, especially when we talk about AI replacing humans. But AI can also enhance human abilities. And I think it's important for all of us to use AI in that manner. It may not be the most efficient way of using AI, but it's probably the best way of using AI to avoid this human-AI conflict. And just the other day, Jensen Huang was saying that AI helps him to learn a lot. So AI is enhancing his abilities. And he was not particularly worried about AI competing with him. So let's use AI to enhance our own abilities and not engage in competition between AI and humans.
Okay. Great. So there's no need for a man versus machine. It's a man with machine world. Okay, terrific. Hopefully.
So, I think everyone talked about that AI is a facilitator. It supports you in carrying out work, the repetitive work that you do instead of doing many repetitions. But I think if we go to the other extreme and say that it will replace humans, I think we are oversimplifying the issue. It is not definitely going to replace. When computers came nearly 30 years back, everyone thought that people will lose job. And I come from an industry which is a pure brick and mortar industry. I remember the first time we did automation in the power system. There was a lot of jobs which were, but you retrain them and make them ready for another type of job. Similarly, AI is not something very new. I think there has been little hype in last 1-2 years because some of the big companies, the ones who have gone into trillions, are talking about it. But we have been using it. I remember many years back, nearly a decade back, I was in Delhi. And Delhi is known for stealing electricity. It's the capital for stealing electricity. And I used some of these technologies over there. We made algorithms and we found out that who are the potential people who would be indulging in that. And since then, a lot of action has been done, a lot of things have been done. We don't talk about it because, this is routine things that you carry out. You get supply everything, you get on real-time basis. But this is not something which is absolutely a thing because someone has come with ChatGPT or someone. We have been doing it, and we have much better insights and knowledge into it. So I think we need to take everything as it comes rather than get paranoid by saying that this will replace. I know all of you during the time we had COVID made a virtue that work from home is there. Just imagine power companies, if we would have worked from home, would never have got power to run your computer system. So I wish I could have taken a stand that I will also work from home. If it comes, it comes. It does not come, you ask your computer or your chat GPT to sort it out. So I think we need to take it in our stride. We should not just get carried away. There is a human thing. If Brinda cannot paint the way she paints, I don't think you will go and pay a painting which has been done by a computer and all that. But you will definitely love to go and buy a painting which she has made, because there's also a love and emotion in that. And that you will never get from what we get from the computer and all that. So I think we need to take a break. We need to take it as a supporter of what we are doing. But that's not the be all and end all. And I strongly believe that people are just going on the other side and making a big hue and cry about it, which I think is good. It gives us information. It gives us fast information. It helps us to give discrete information, the peeling that you need to do. But let's take it as it is and not say that the world will come to an end and everyone, the artists will have no work, the lawyers will have no work, the doctors would have no work, everything will be done by someone else. Maybe it can clean your house a little bit, but don't expect that it will take care of your husband or your wife. So let's take it as it comes.
Okay.
So, I think I actually agree with Siddharth, what he said, that the pace at which AI is going to move is going to be startling, right? I don't think like more than 2 years ago, anyone in this room ever spoke about AI. Just 2 years. And 2 years, we're actually talking about how AI is going to replace everything that we know. So I think the next 5 years, with the amount of money and human resources and talent that's thrown on AI, I don't think anyone can predict 5 years later. But you're right, 5 years later, if we see sentient, right, like artificial general intelligence, true artificial intelligence where the machine starts thinking on its own, where it has a conscience, that is scary, right? I don't think anyone should think otherwise. That is 100% a scary thought. And that's why the best minds in the world today are also looking at regulating it, because every technology that's ever come into our lives has a good and bad. In fact, when you're asking the question, will AI help, will it help us a lot? And I put my hand up. And if you had asked, will AI also, are you also scared? I would have left my hand up. I think every technology, like the internet, was created for war by the Department of Defense. But it's used positively, right? So I think like nuclear fusion is one thing that can, change humanity with endless, unlimited energy for free, right? But nuclear missiles, if you tell people, that's scary. So I think AI will end up solving some of the hardest problems humanity's ever had, whether it's nuclear fusion, whether it's healthcare. The next time there's, hopefully never again, but the next time there's a COVID pandemic, you could get a cure in a day. You could actually have AI run through 1 million different genomes and 1 million different tests and come out with a different, like 1 million different molecule testing and come out with like a vaccine in a day, what we took months to create. You could have AI actually help us colonize other planets. These are really hard problems that can happen. The CEO of Singularity actually said this pretty insane thing, that he said that just, stay alive for 5 years.
Yep.
Okay? Just don't do anything stupid. Don't go like skydiving. Don't do like crazy stuff which you might die. And if you just stay alive for 5 years, there's a very good chance that AI and the way it's transforming healthcare will change the average age of humans to 120 years.
That's also because Peter Diamandis has 76 pills a day.
Yeah,
I don't know what he's consuming and why he looks the way he looks. So that's a bit.
But I'm just saying all this is very real. And
okay, so I'm sensing that you think it might be pretty radical, right? You're saying, hey, don't underestimate AI. Sir seems to be thinking that, hey, life is going to go on, like someone's going to take care of my wife and my kids, and AI ain't doing that. So we're getting a sort of like varied perspective on this. Maybe a little bit to do with industries, maybe a little bit to do with perspective, age, whatever. Okay, let's move away a little bit from tech. The book also talks about other factors like globalization and sustainability. Would anyone like to take a stab at any of these factors? Of course, sustainability is very relevant for both of you. Let's talk a little bit about non-AI, non-tech. So sustainability, globalization as factors that are affecting your specific industries, and how is it doing that?
Coming on AI itself, so a few years back, we were in the IBM Center in New York, and IBM came with a machine which is known as Watson. So it was used for playing a card game, Jeopardy, but ultimately they used it for medical purpose. So it's now become a Dr. Watson. It's supposed to give the best oncological treatment. But what it does actually, so it uses huge amount of data. A lot of data comes to it, which today if you go to a doctor is not able to give you that sort of time. They are short of time. They hear you to 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and they want to diagnose and give you the treatment. The Dr. Watson uses that data over a period of time and gives you a diagnosis, which is as good as what the doctor has given, because the doctor has certain nuances which the computer will never be having. And this has been tested. It has been tested in both Duke as well as in Harvard University, on where if a doctor gives a diagnosis and the machine gives what happens over there. And I don't think there is huge difference. So I think the data is there for us to use it in an intelligent manner. That is where the intelligence and speed comes in. And I think we need to use. Now, when we talk of weather change, we are all, everyone in the world has so much of data. Can anyone predict what sort of weather they would have 6 months down the line? Whether we will have rain in Mumbai, or whether we will have drought in Africa or drought in South America. So I think in spite of whatever data that we have and whatever anyone has been making, we have not been able to. So I think we also need to understand that the unpredictability of weather is very, very strong, and we need to work towards that. Sustainability is the biggest danger for us. The way things are changing, the way the rises in the sea level and ocean levels are happening, I don't think we will have many of the things that we see. 2 years back in this same hall, I was having dinner with the president of Maldives, the previous president, not the present one. And I was telling the president that you would be a very worried person that your country will get submerged. So he said that, Mr. Sinha, why are you telling me this? You should be worried. You think if my country gets submerged, you will be sitting over here and having dinner. Your Mumbai city will also get submerged. So don't get carried away that things are going to happen in some Pacific Ocean countries, but it will also happen over here. And we have seen that. We have seen how the rainfall, how the precipitation, how the temperature, and all that has happened. So I think there is a real danger that we have on sustainability, and we may have the best of the machines, but we won't have a planet. And I think that's
Mr. Sinha,
what
in the book you had actually said a very positive thing. You had said by 2040, you're driven to make all the electricity, at least that Tata Power is generating, and move to net zero, right? You had mentioned this in the book. Could you tell us all how you're planning to do that, and what is the plan at Tata Power?
So yes, so people talk about it, that can we have 100% renewable energy? Can we have 100% solar, wind, and talked about, Harsh talked about nuclear. So can we have some of those solutions? And those solutions are work in progress. These are not hypothetical solutions and all that. These are very much there. Nanotechnology, many of these nuclear technologies which are there, and plasma technology. So I think many of the technologies which are there, we will see solutions where it is not about only 100% for power, but also 100% for mobility. People talk about it that if I have to travel, what will happen? The car will, the battery will get discharged. We have driven from Srinagar to Kanyakumari in an electric car, and we had chargers right across every 150, 200 kilometers. We didn't have any problem. Wow. We would go and charge everywhere. So I think it's in the mind that we have these issues. And there is definitely a lot of things that is happening globally. I personally believe that for us, when you do some of these things, there is a sacrifice. And people should be ready to take that sacrifice. And the sacrifice has to start from you. You have to be conscious that you need to contribute and how you can make a world a more sustainable place, how we can live a world for our future generations, for our children, which is more sustainable. What we are doing, we are just overutilizing the resources what we have today. And I think that's what is important. This is, again, something which, if we have to really save the technology, then I think we need to work more towards technology, towards clean energy. And this is definitely a doable thing.
Okay, let's bring the audience in on this. Within the next 3 years, I think some of you already own electric vehicles, but how many of you see yourself moving to at least owning one EV within your family within the next 3 years or so?
I think so. Some of everything.
Or some of us already have one? Yes?
I think almost all.
No, I mean, looking at about 40% of this audience. Someone at the back is also saying yes. Okay, so we have some work to be done. Some of us have hybrids. Okay. Okay, Mr. Godrej, your take on sustainability. Yeah. We spoke about that a lot in the interview.
A little bit of optimism from our group. Technology can save the day. So far, it has turned out that way. As technology takes a leap, green energy gets very cheap. Keen observers quickly saw that solar also tracks Moore's law. Wind and solar come and go. We don't have a reliable flow. While biomass cogeneration is great for a continuous operation, whether groundnut shell or bagasse, India's full of biomass. New bamboo varieties are on the way. They can help save the day. They can help our green goal at a price lower than coal. The advantage would be very wide if carbon credits are applied. Many benefits we can reap, a fuel that is very cheap. Biodiversity can be maintained. Other products can be gained. The stalks regrow very fast, but the roots will still last. Sequester carbon continually. These are the benefits that we see. Green energy has been our intent. We've already reached 70%. And after hearing Praveer, I think the technology that we have today can help solve this problem. Unfortunately, we're not doing enough. We don't have the right economic incentives with which we could do this all much faster. Already the cost of prevention is lower than the cost of adaptation. So we are utterly foolish not preventing climate change. And because of competitive reasons, we can't do it unless we make sacrifices. But with any kind of carbon price, we don't have to make sacrifices. Profits will not be affected as we decarbonize. But Praveer also said that we need to sacrifice to solve the problem. That's not really necessary. We certainly need better and better technology. Maybe AI will help us find the better technology. And with the right incentive, we can do it right now. But with better and better technology, we'll still be able to do it. And we are getting close to net zero, at least in scope 1 and scope 2, without any sacrifice. No profits have been affected. In India, we also have CSR spends. And CSR spends have to have social value. But while they have social value, they can also have business value. We do watershed projects, and it's entirely paid for by CSR money. And these watershed projects have made us 10 times water positive. And we will soon be carbon neutral. The same watershed projects sequester carbon because trees are grown in them. So you don't need to sacrifice. Of course, if we do a little bit of sacrifice, we'll get there faster. But if we have the right incentives, we will get there and it'll be cheaper than adaptation.
Okay, terrific. Thank you so much. Harsh, I'm going to pull you in on this tussle between AI and energy, because you know better than me that all these models and all this data crunching is consuming a lot of energy. So where do you stand on this? How much of, how do you make the planet sustainable? At the same time, we all want the forces of AI and technology to fasten and speeden up our businesses. So where is this challenge resting today, and where do you see it going tomorrow?
Yeah, look, I think because you're talking about careers, I think it's amazing. At least the kids I talk to nowadays, a lot of them are actually going into sustainable energy. They're studying. They're going to college and learning about. They're doing engineering, but they're doing engineering in terms of saving the planet. And I think as humans, we always say no, prevention is better than cure, right? But we don't pay for prevention. We pay for cure, right? You don't pay for vitamins. Vitamins leoge nahi leoge, theek hai, matlab, it's good for you. But if you are sick, then your painkiller, you'll pay whatever you want, right? So unfortunately, that's the truth about humanity. And we are reaching a point now where pollution will get to a point where we will need a cure, right? And I think that's where AI can also help a lot. In the short term, it will genuinely add to the woes because it's consuming a lot of energy. But like I said, tomorrow if it solves nuclear fusion, then energy becomes, a moot point. I think there's going to be more and more people heading towards that, solving this problem. And I think it's a very big problem. We all kind of sideline it a bit, but if you think about it, right? They say that, the earth can get like a couple degrees warmer in the next 50, 100 years. But if you think about it, like what happens to your body when you go from 98.4 degrees to 100.4 degrees? It's a big problem, right? So I think this is something that we're all realizing, and every country is working, and the youth are working on it. That's what I'm most hopeful about.
Okay, so you're saying AI might find a solution for the problem that it's creating, and then hopefully that will just take care of it. Okay, terrific. I think we've touched about AI technology, some sustainability. Let's talk about the amazing world of entertainment, guys, because that's always fun. So you've been churning out hit after hit. We've all seen his movies, just fabulous. How do you plan for the future in the business of entertainment? I'm assuming the lead time to make a film is anywhere from a year to 3. Maybe if it's Amir Khan, it's 4. So how do you plan this? How do you think about consumers and consumer trends going forward?
Sounds quite trivial now to be talking about making a movie when we're talking about saving the planet, but fine, I'll follow. I'll follow that.
You help save the planet in many ways.
Yes, we like to believe that our soft power helps to bring people in that frame of mind. But just talking about lead times, films are one and then series are the other, right? Because with series you take even longer. Writing a series is like writing 3 movies at once. So where I do believe that AI is going to help us quite significantly is really in that pre-production process. Actually, you right now have you take around 3 to 6 months to script a film, or with a series it's actually even longer. You then take around 6 months of pre-production, your location recce's, your storyboarding, your script breakdowns, your casting, props, costumes, the whole thing, and then the shoot, and then post-production is another 6 months. So a film can take anywhere from 18 months to 36 months, like really depending on the scope and scale of the film, and a series would be that much or longer. What AI can actually help us do, I think, in that pre-production process is pretty significant, because I can imagine a world where you've got a 100-page script that you feed into the algorithm, and it gives you a storyboard breakdown. It gives you a recommended shoot schedule based on by location shots that need to be taken. It gives you prop lists. It gives you location suggestions. It loops in on with casting agencies portals and gives you options for casting. Then, of course, there's a human interface that happens after that. But what an army of assistant directors are doing for 6 months can actually be brought down to a few weeks. In the shooting process as well, some of the audiovisual stuff that you're seeing out of Sora, and it's only going to get better, is a great writer with prompting skills can actually create sequences that you don't even need to go into VFX to do anymore. right? And that will actually bring your cost down significantly and enhance your quality. And then, of course, the post-production process, of course, AI is going to help you in things like dubbing and subtitling and VFX and things like that. So I think the upsides to the entertainment business by embracing technology are going to be quite significant in the years to come. And you will be able to bring down the time that it takes you to make a piece of content.
Okay, terrific. Thank you for sharing that. Priyanka, tell us about the big bad world of deep fakes. What's going on? Everyone knows what a deep fake is, right? Like it's just an AI generated image of you and it could be doing weird stuff. So tell us about this big bad world of deep fakes. And are actors and celebrities coming to you to now say, hey, protect my voice, protect my eyes, protect, I don't know, just, protect me. Tell us a little bit, give us the glimpse into this real world.
Well, for those of you in the room who are probably not familiar with what an entertainment lawyer is, I get asked this all the time. My mom till date, I don't think understands fully कि actors को lawyers की ज़रूरत क्यों है. Or most of the times I'll have people in entertainment, artists included, going, oh, thank God I'm not in legal trouble, so I don't need you anymore. Don't need you right now. So it happens all the time. But really my job and, my firm and I think our real responsibility is to just guide a lot of talent and protect every element or aspect of their personalities, right? And coming to deepfakes, I don't think it's something that we've worked on protecting just today. Historically, in the world of entertainment, and Sid will also confirm this, we've always talked about name, image, likeness, right? Because as a celebrity, as someone who's front-facing, a lot of their value is derived from different elements of their personality and therefore monetizing it. So as advisors, it becomes even more critical. How are we able to, and I know not only safeguard, but future-proof a lot of this, right? And I know people say that, look, we're not sitting with a crystal ball, but as a good advisor, that really is our role and responsibility. With deepfakes, it's been interesting. Like Sid mentioned, yes, to a certain degree, it can enable and significantly reduce a lot of production time, right? There are certain sequences, use of body doubles, stunt specialists, etc., etc. I feel there's a lot that can be simplified with the use of even deepfake technology. So long as, of course, it's licensed. But on the other hand, we've had instances where a lot of clients that I've worked with have been victims of deepfake being used to circulate inappropriate photographs, videos of them. And I think it's one of those situations, right, where yes, there is again enough within the legal ecosystem to try and protect it, but is it fast enough to keep up with how quickly technology can enable you to disseminate something? So there's constantly that tussle between enforcement of law and, where do you strike that balance? How quickly, how efficiently, how effectively can you protect somebody's rights?
Can you give us an example of a contract, like without naming the celebrity, but just maybe say like ex-musician, what do you put in these contracts?
Well,
how do you future-proof someone?
So if we were working with a producer, let's say, right, I would say, look, to the extent of this film, I'm giving you the license or the ability to use my name, image, likeness, right? So let's say you're portraying a character, a persona in a film. So to that extent, you have a limited license to be able to use my name, image, likeness. If I'm endorsing a product, right, it could be limited by territory. I could say that, listen, you can use this only in India. You can use this only for a certain amount of time. You can use this only for a social media campaign. If you decide to do a television campaign, you come back to me. If you decide to use my voice on radio, maybe there's a separate add-on in terms of a license fee and so on and so forth. With singers, it's interesting, right? Or with musicians, and I work with a whole lot of them. We've now actually actively started incorporating provisions in our contract saying that you cannot use this piece of music or my voice to train machines. I work with a lot of interesting estates, including Lata Mangeshkar, Rafi Saab, to name a few, and you'll find a lot of videos and songs creeping up on the internet that are in their voice. We've been really quick behind the scenes to take action, to file takedowns, to send cease and desist notices, and 9.9 out of 10 times the culprits instantly end up taking it down. But it's that window during which its live has gone viral that it has still been monetized, and I think that's also the nature of social media today. But actively in a lot of contracts, there's a clear stipulation that you cannot use this piece of material to train machines. You cannot sub-license it, right? Because look at it this way: if I'm a studio or if I'm a record label, I'm collecting all these rights because I have paid for it. That's the nature of the transaction between the person who's rendering services and the person who's availing services. So logically, I want to think that, hey, once I own the product of your services, what I do with it is my prerogative. But thankfully, at least I think within the entertainment system, all stakeholders are, for the large part, seeing eye to eye when it comes to training of machines using copyrighted material.
Okay, great. This is amazing to learn that they're now saying you can't use this to train the AI. Now the AI is not trained well enough, then how will it be used in other industries, etc.? Wow, so this is very interesting. Okay, let's move to skill and education, because the book is on careers. And I know on the panel we have IIT, Stanford, Columbia, and all these amazing universities. If you had to go back to college today, knowing what you know about the present and the future, what would you like to get a degree in? Because we have lots of young people here in the audience and a lot of people from Herky. This is being live streamed on Herky. Hi, Herky people. I hope you're enjoying the conversation. What would you like to study? Harsh, you want to start?
I think biotech would be really interesting. I think the confluence of man and machine in the future is going to be a very, very interesting place, because you're going to have technology actually revolutionize the human body and push us beyond the boundaries that we know today. And I know, Neuralink and Elon Musk is doing some crazy stuff for that. But unfortunately or fortunately, that is the future where technology will push our exoskeleton, our brain, our mentally and physically beyond what you see today. And I think that would be really interesting. The other choice would obviously be something to do with the environment, like environmental engineering. I think those two things would be the most interesting.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
I think the fundamentals will always be the same. The physics will remain the physics. The chemistry will remain the chemistry. The only thing is, along with that will come some of the other technologies, which is today understanding how digital technology can be utilized. So when you make a chip, the platform is the same, but you will apply that in physics, or you will apply in chemistry or biology or in any of the sciences. So I think the fundamental knowledge has to be correct. Then only you can do the applied part of it. Sure. When we talk of economics, economics has to be there, but then aspects of behavioral economics comes in. Talks about biology. In biology, it's not just about the human body, but also the chemistry of how the various things in the body react and interact with each other. So I think
you're saying you'd study a pure science then?
Pure science with digital technology.
Pure science and CS.
So everything has to be used along with digital technology. So it's not and or. Okay. So it is and actually.
So some tech component and pure sciences.
Absolutely. Then only the fundamentals. Once you understand the fundamentals, then use some of these platforms or technologies over and above.
Okay. All right. So we got biotech, environmental sciences, pure sciences. I hope, Sivi, you're listening to all this. With lots of ideas for you.
I think it's very important to have a broad education. And although professionally I was a chemical engineer, I also went to business school. At MIT, we had a humanities requirement, which was very useful. So I did drama, psychology, economics, and all of these have been very useful. And it's very useful to be able to connect these different subjects. So broad education is very important. Somebody said that your education should be like a tea with a broad top and one specialty. And then somebody else said that it should be like a pie with a broad top, one big specialty and one minor specialty. So it's very important to have a broad education. It's very important to keep learning, because you don't know what's going to be important in the future. He mentioned biotechnology. I'm very fortunate that when I was studying chemical engineering, one of my professors said, read double helix. And then I took a few courses in biology, and they stood me in very good stead. Because if you're a chemical engineer and you know some biology, it helps you a lot. And I also think that all these other subjects, such as history, geography, helps you understand politics, economics, psychology helps you understand how the world works, and psychology helps you to understand people.
So what would you study? So if you had to apply to Stanford one more time?
I would try and study as much as I can.
Study everything.
Learn very few facts and learn how to learn.
Learn how to learn. Okay, terrific. Okay. Okay, so the engineers are staying engineers. You guys want the tech and the biotech. You want more sort of the T-shaped depth and breadth both. Priyanka?
It's very difficult to top that response, but I'm going to try. I think for me, it would be two things. Some form of data science or analytics, just because I think so much of what we do today, both in entertainment, social media, and technology, is so algorithm-driven and data-driven. So I would have definitely loved to learn more of that when I was in school. And the other thing is going to be really to have understood the science of marketing. I think I'm personally very fascinated with it. Every time that we have a project releasing across film, TV, music, advertising, there's such an emphasis on marketing and marketing campaigns, and there are teams devoted to it, and you're coming up with different ideas and suggestions, and so much of the budget is being spent towards marketing. So I would have loved to understand the science behind marketing, and I'm also saying it because it indirectly relates again to what I end up doing, because it's always part of the negotiation, it's part of the deal. Or in a modern day context, right, you'll see meme marketing, you'll see moment marketing from brands, and then again there are attorneys behind the scenes who are brought in to advise on what are the boundaries within which I can do it. Is it fair use? Is it not fair use? Am I violating something? Am I offending something? So on and so forth. So I'm personally very fascinated with the science of marketing.
Okay, so data sciences and marketing. So an undergrad in business, a business school which is emphasizing data science and marketing. We're by the way sitting next to a marketing guru, so I think you got the right position.
Making me sound way too old, but okay.
No,
wise.
I don't think he recalls, but back in the day, I was actually part of a tiny forum. This is UTV days, and yes, I did get to shadow.
You got some of their marketing
a
wisdom?
little bit, very, very little, but I did.
When I was sort of studying in the 90s, it was hard to, you had to specialize really early, right? So you did your BCom straight out of your school, and then I did my MBA. So I think we were forced to specialize really early. Yeah. And I think a liberal arts education would have really helped me tremendously. So if I had the opportunity now to get that liberal arts education and be able to be multidisciplinary, at least in those early years, I think that would have been tremendous. Also, at our time, if you wanted to get into the media in a structured way, on the business side especially, you had to learn as you went. So you were thrown in the deep end and you made up your rules as you went along, and it was sink or swim, and it was just sort of build the plane as it's in motion, right? But today, the courses that are offered in being a producer, because the sheer art of being a producer involves softer skills and harder skills. And if I had the opportunity to actually be able to be in one of the schools, especially in the US or in Europe, which now teach production as a job or as a role for later in life, that would have helped me in great stead, rather than having the heartaches and traumas that one has to go through learning on the job.
Okay, so you like the formal film schools, formal film training?
Well, I guess the grass is always greener, right? Because you've had to learn it through a trial and error approach. You always believe that, wow, if I had a chance to actually study it, it would have been quite cool.
Okay, or you would do liberal arts, you said?
Yes.
Okay, great. Actually, I interviewed one of a computer science professor from UCSD, the University of California in San Diego. And very interestingly, when I asked him this question, he said, I'd study history. So I said, sir, why would you study history? You're a computer scientist. Like half the people are saying digital tech, all that. And he said, you know what? Technology is changing. So I don't know what technology you'll use 5 years from now, but history is already written. It's not changing. So I found that answer so profound. I was like, wow, I'm going to keep this answer. Beautiful. Okay, last round. Everyone could hold your mics because we're going to go on a quick rapid fire. And then we'll open up for some panel questions. So you have to answer very quickly, huh, guys? No, Harsh, you don't get a cheat. Very quick. Okay, we'll start with Harsh and we'll go down this way. And then we'll start with you and go down this way. Okay, AI, friend or foe?
Friend in the short term.
Friend in the short term, foe maybe later, huh?
Maybe.
Friend.
Friend?
Frenemy.
Frenemy, oh my God.
It's such a bad idea that I have to keep going after him. I want to say frenemy.
Frenemy, okay.
Either wolf in sheep's clothing or sheep in wolf's clothing. We'll know soon.
Okay. Lovely, cool. Okay, we'll start with Sid again. Now, remote work or in office? What do you think the future's going to look like?
What the future is going to look
Yeah.
like?
No, future.
In office is what I'd hope.
You're hoping in office. Okay.
In office, 100%.
In office. Wow.
Hybrid.
Hybrid. Okay, you're hope for hybrid. All the people who want to work in office are like, yeah, Nadir.
In office.
In
I told
office. You said
can't
why?
do it
Yeah.
virtual.
Because it's electricity. We want you guys in office, please.
Yes.
Harsh.
Hybrid, but like I'm still old school. I still like in office. So we keep saying we have 4 days work from office and 3 days work from home every week.
7 days? Wow.
So in our company, we say we also have work from home. Sundays you can work from home. Monday to Saturday you can work in office.
Did you guys have dinner with Narayan Murthy last night? Okay, Harsh, over back to you. Playing physical sports or playing fantasy sport?
Right.
Physical sports.
Physical
Always.
sports, coming
Always,
from the
every
founder
day.
of Dream 11.
No,
Playing
fantasy
physical
sports is popcorn to your movie. Fantasy sports is augments real sports. Without real sports, you're nothing.
It's a Rachna to Harsh. Okay, so
Physical sports. So you won't go to a football match or a cricket match with robos playing. So if you don't have...
you're going to see that.
So-
they're
so if
introducing
you-
it in the Olympics. They're
so
gonna-
you will not enjoy that. It's good sometimes to play on station, but I don't think you would ever like to go and watch a match.
we need to have some of these front rowers answer this question. She's probably playing something right now on her phone.
We have these Fortnite esports kids here.
Exactly.
I think if it's entertainment, it could be either. But if you want to stay healthy, it's physical sports that you should be playing yourself.
Okay, should be playing physical sports.
Physical sports,
Physical
100%.
Sitting on a couch and watching sport.
Watching sports. Okay. So, over to Sid. Viewing on streaming platforms or going to a physical cinema?
Well, speaking with my producer hat on, I'd hope it's both because we get revenues from. But for me personally, it's going to the cinema.
Cinema? Okay.
Going to the cinema.
Cinema. Okay, cinema. PVR stock's going to rise tomorrow.
Right.
I like to cover all bases. So sometimes it's very special to be in a cinema, and in other times, very nice to do it at home.
Okay. He plays it safe, huh? You guys, this is the reason both your wife and son are always smiling. You've got them all covered.
I don't believe in either or. You must understand it's better and.
Okay, terrific.
See, the whole experience is going to the cinema hall, having a popcorn, having burger, coke. So that's the experience that you need to have. So that you will only get when you go to the cinema hall. You won't get it in your house. You can get
Ritu,
it
you're not eating
sometime.
burger and popcorn at home, huh?
So Sunday evening, you have to take your wife for a movie. No?
Okay.
How can you sit at home?
Okay, so it's cinema for you.
Yes,
Okay, Harsh, cinema or OTT?
I think movies in cinemas, you have to go to theater to actually enjoy. And if it's up to my wife who's here, then only Inox.
Only Inox.
Only CR2. We have the paneer roll and the popcorn, and you have to have that experience. But I think series at home.
Series at home, film and cinema.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got both covered. Okay, terrific. Okay, the one job that you think will be safe from automation, one thing that you can't automate.
I think creativity. I think just like art. Right? Art will always be human art. How much ever you say a machine creates an amazing piece of art, you will still want to know what the human was thinking behind the art.
Brinda, I think your career is safe for the next 100 years now. Okay, art. Wow, beautiful.
I think anything which requires creativity has to be done physical, because that's where the emotion comes in. It's not about just doing the job, but the process of doing the job also is very important. And that's where you can relate to people.
So you don't think creativity guys will get automated? I don't know why Hollywood went on strike all of last year. I don't know, foolish.
If you look at businesses, it would be company secretaries. SEBI wouldn't allow it to be automated.
I want to say getting sound legal advice. There's no replacing co-ordering.
Sahil still around? Sahil from... Is he still... Sahil, do you agree? getting sound legal advice is not getting automated anytime soon?
They're not replacing core lawyers.
All right. Thanks, Ayush.
What about judges?
Judges.
No, not getting
It
replaced.
might be nice to have a judge that's not biased and who I can't pay off. It might actually be really helpful. Huh? Great idea, yeah. We don't mind having AI judges actually, guys.
AI is blindfolded.
I think since everyone's covered art and artists, I'd say probably philosophy and like sort of philosophers. Because the rumination on why we're here, what our purpose is, I really don't think AI could, it might be able to mimic human thought from the past, but coming up with anything really revolutionary in that space, I think will be something you'll need a human being to do.
Okay, Socrates is shaking in his grave right now saying, thank you, Sayed, for that shout out. Okay, would you like to specialize in one area in the future? Is that the way to go, or interdisciplinary education?
I know it might seem logical for you to specialize in something, but for me, I think the benefit of an interdisciplinary, multifaceted education is quite tremendous.
Okay.
It might not be the most practical thing for the future, but it'll make you the most well-rounded person you could be.
Okay, interdisciplinary.
Yeah, I think I have to say interdisciplinary as well, because I feel while you eventually may end up specializing in one thing, you end up borrowing from so many different things that you've learned and picked up along the way. So 100%.
Interdisciplinary. You are
I
very
think I already answered that
interdisciplinary. Yes.
question.
Yeah, it should be interdisciplinary, but there should be core competence. So if you do not have a core competence, then how do you use that in a different types of disciplines? So I think core competence is very important.
Very beautifully framed. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Sir. Actually, that we always say that we love to have people who are T-shaped, right? Like you need to have a breadth of things, and then one core thing which you love. But I also think it's different now because access to education is changing rapidly. Like, if I wanted to learn Python, code, earlier we used to have to go to tutoring, then or you had to go to school, or you could do it in tuitions, then you could do it in university. Now you can do it online. Now forget online. You can ask ChatGPT how to teach you Python. So you can actually ask code how to teach you how to code. And in the future, you're not even going to have to do that. Like coding will be just a natural language. We're going to move away from all kinds of code into just speaking whatever language you want and describing what you want, right?
Sure.
So I think I love what you said about learn how to learn, right? And I think that's the most important part. You go to college and just whoever's going to college should have as wide an education, because like I did engineering. I did electrical engineering. If the lights go out here, don't call me, right? Like I have no idea. That was 20 years back.
So it's very interesting you say this about coding, because a lot of people are saying, well, if AI can code for us, then why should I learn how to code? So a lot of people are stressing on communication, because now it's all about the prompting. So just very simple communication coming to the fore. But then we have lots of people like Mr. Sinha still saying, look, even if you don't need the code, coding teaches you how your brain gets trained to think in a certain way.
So that's the soft side, right?
Yeah.
That's the learn how to learn, right?
Learn how to learn. Exactly. Okay. What do you think is going to prevail in the future, planet or profit?
I mean, without the planet, there's no profit. You're going to...
And without the profit, there's no planet either. So. Okay. Let's hear what you have to say. You had let's hear your perspective.
No, I'm saying the latter. Without profit also, I think Harsh was also leaning in the same direction. You'd still have people, right? We've lived in a simplistic time. We've lived in a simpler time. There are still pockets in this world, and including in our country, where people live a meaningful existence with far less. So I think definitely you need the planet. Even if there is no profit, you'll have the planet.
Okay.
I think it's a fake dichotomy. You need both, and you can achieve both. As I said, with the right economic incentives, it'll be very easy to achieve both. Otherwise, you have to think very hard, work very hard to save the planet while preserving your profits. But if you have the right incentives, we can do it very easily.
Okay. I'm beginning to think we should have had a minister on this panel. It had come to me, but next one.
I think planet is very important. The question can also be planet or greed. So then it's easy because it's the greed which actually takes us to do the wrong things. If it is a reasonable profit or it is something which you use for the good of the planet, and that's where when we talk of the impact, whatever education we do, how do you make an impact on people? How do you make an impact on society? So that's what is important. So similarly, profit for the planet is good, but profit for greed is bad.
But wasn't it Michael Douglas who said greed is good? Yeah. Okay. So let's. I don't know. Do you want to add to that the profit planet thing?
No, I think, unfortunately, the cynical view of it, which seems to be prevailing today, is that because most people around are not going to be living for the next more than 70 years, they want to maximize their existence at this point and therefore aren't thinking ahead. And therefore, it looks like profit is the motive at this point. Because the world, all the benchmarks that were set for not going above 1.5 degrees in next number of years seem to be breached. So the fact of the matter is it looks like profit is what's winning right now.
Profit's winning right now. Okay, we got to do something to change this, guys. Okay, will we live longer or will we live healthier? You know, this whole Peter Diamandis and all the healthification he's doing.
I think longer is more likely than healthier at the way we're going. But I think the other way should be the better way to live.
It should be, yeah. Okay.
Agree. We need to be healthy and longevity will come from that.
Yeah.
Longevity will come from being healthy. Okay.
We are definitely going to live longer, but it's a question whether we'll live longer and healthy or longer and unhealthy. And it's entirely in our own hands. We have to decide.
Okay.
If we want to, we are definitely going to live longer, but if we want to live longer, healthier, we must make lifestyle changes.
Okay, terrific. Okay.
Yeah, I would think healthier for sure. If
Healthier.
I had to pick between the two, then I hope that we live healthier.
Healthier. Okay.
Here I'm going to be optimistic and say we're going to live longer and healthier.
Okay. So finally, you threw in one optimistic comment as we near the end of this. Okay. Last question. Will it be man with machine or will it be man versus machine in the future?
Man with machine. Let's be
You think
let's put that
collaborative?
vibe out there. Let's put that
Let's put that energy.
hope and
intention.
energy there. It's man with machine. If you're on the opposite side, then we're screwed.
No, we're
Right.
screwed. Okay.
Absolutely. They
We're all
cannot be,
manifesting
it's
this.
not either or. It has to be and.
Yeah.
No, it could very well be machines versus man for sure.
Right.
So that is disaster.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you'll have your planet without the profits.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to echo that. And it's not, you're right, it's not inevitable, but we have to strive to make it man with machine.
Okay, so it's up to man to make sure. That
It's up to man to
it's
make
man
sure.
Yeah. With machines, I don't think. I think it's inevitable. I feel to a great degree it's already a reality today.
Okay.
When you consider all the biological changes that are happening in terms of implanting chips in human beings, it could be man with machines inside. So machine inside.
Machine inside man. Okay.
Machine inside man.
Okay, let's open up for a couple of panel questions, for audience questions. Can we put out some mics and... Oh, we have 2 hands up already. Okay, great. If you could just introduce yourself, your name, what you do, and then your brief question.
So my name's Ravi. I'm here as Dr. Chabria's +1. My background is in electrical engineering and computer science. My question is for Dr. Sinha. So, sir, with the future of nuclear energy and nuclear power, just your views for whether we'll be intelligent enough to clean up after it, and whether you feel comfortable about the fact that it's mostly private driven right now, it looks like, in the world, and increasingly driven by private individuals. Just your views on that.
So there are 2 parts of it. One is how do you produce power from nuclear? And the other is about the fuel. And that is where the danger is. How do you get the fuel? What do you do with the spent fuel? What do you do on the reprocessing of fuel? And that is always government controlled. So while the private companies can set up the nuclear power plants, but they cannot on their own bilaterally source fuel or just throw away the spent fuel or reprocess the fuel. So that in any case is very regulated and government controlled. So what you will see now globally also that there will be a lot of reprocessing that will happen and that government will have a strict control so that it does not give you the license that you make a nuclear missile and send it to your neighbor's house.
You don't see it moving too fast right now, at least in the last 6 months, the way you see it in the news?
it's moving, but we still have a lot of fear, and a lot of controls are there, checks and balances are there. So it is not free for all. Not that everyone can do it. Globally, also, it's a very, very small club, very, very small number of people who are given access to this sort of technology, and that will happen in India too.
Hi, this is Rishabh Jain, production engineering background with computers and IT. Question is that how do you see the impact of tech on mental health, and what kind of changes would you like to see in the way tech is being used to prevent mental health problems from increasing?
So I'll give you an example from the book. And actually, we have Mirabel here. Mirabel, you want to come up? Mirabel is a dear friend who's flown all the way from the Cayman Islands. She's an expert in the book. And Mirabel, this one's for you, actually.
I think it's a very valid question. It's about responsibility, personal responsibility in how we use tech. And as I think everybody has echoed here, taking personal responsibility is key. Because there's bombardment. Distraction is the seduction of the world right now. And we have to choose attention. And attention comes from where intention is placed. Everybody here has shared what I felt and saw was the clarity of intention from which, everything they've said has come. Their intention informs their attention. And that keeps them such high performers, having clarity and offering so much, creating impact for the world. So I think there's a great place for technology. I personally use technology for Big Four firms across the Caribbean to get them into coherence, managing and regulating their nervous system, because accountants, lawyers, they want to see data in terms of, if I'm doing this breathing practice, what is it giving to me? Can I see the data? And for firms, they want to see compliance. If I'm investing all this money into this mental health stuff, which is quite intangible, right? How do I make it tangible? How do I see data? How can people track it? How can we have cohorts in companies that are competing against each other in a positive way to be more coherent, more regulated in the nervous system? So then the prefrontal cortex can come online and you can have clarity of thought, executive function, all of that stuff. So I think there's a great synergy, and it's beautiful to see that coming together. But it will always be personal responsibility.
Okay. And Mirabel, you had said a very beautiful thing in the book about social structures today, how we earlier lived in large joint family constructs, and now a lot of us, including me, we live alone. You talked about how religion used to be a binding force for many of us. Like, we grew up religion, community, and a lot of people just don't believe in God anymore. So you're seeing those all social structures that were very familiar and very strong in society now falling apart. And she said that had also led to a lot of mental health. These were all Mirabel's words. I'm just stealing them. But that was very beautifully shared, Mirabel. Thank you so much.
We need an anchor somewhere.
We all need an anchor somewhere.
We need to have clarity to be grounded.
Thank you. Thank you, Mirabel. Radha, you want to ask a question?
Yeah. Hello everyone, I'm Radha. I'm a strategy consultant, but my question is to Harshit, and I'm asking you from the perspective that I'm also a national level basketball player. So how do you see the diversification of sports in the landscape, not only in India, but overall taking place? And what kind of sports, like recently we've seen an upsurge of pickleball and things of those kinds. So where do you see the sports landscape going towards, and do you think that people would be more willing to engage in physical activity more than they used to, or it's going to go down due to all the technology or nutrition supplements that we're coming with? And please feel free if anyone else wants to take that up.
Sure. Are we talking about India or globally, or
both?
Look, I think in India we've had very few sports where we've had heroes, right?
Yeah.
And so, like pre-1983, we were just hockey, because India literally won gold in hockey for, I think, 5 out of 10 Olympics, right? Prior to that. And then when we won 1983, you all have all seen the movie. I'm sure most of you have seen the movie. We were a joke, right, at 1983 World Cup. They were like, why have you even come? Why are you even playing? And then Kapil Dev led us to winning the 1983 World Cup. And suddenly the whole nation was behind cricket. Today, we're actually getting to a place where we have, javelin, we have a hero. Badminton, we have heroes.
Exactly.
Tennis, we have heroes. And football, we have heroes. So I think as a nation, we can clearly see that we are getting to a very diverse set. Like, our kids are now playing, my kid plays basketball right? And he wants to play basketball and pickle, right? I play pickleball. And so I think we're going to get to a place where, as a society, we've actually had our earlier generation, they didn't need to work too much on health and fitness because they ate such good food. They ate like ghar ka khana. They used to just go for walks. Everyone was just like, let's go for a walk. And that's how they stayed fit. Our generation had junk food, right? So we had to focus on health and fitness. The next generation is actually ready to pay for health and fitness. Yeah. And so that's changing rapidly. So I think we're going to see a very diverse nation coming up with like all different kinds of sports. But ye desh hai cricket ka, right? Like we have 250 million users on our app and 90% of it is cricket. We have 11 sports. So please understand that things will change very fast, but from a very small base. So we are growing very rapidly on all the other sports, but cricket is like this gorilla that will take a long time.
Harsh, are we going to win more Olympic medals? Is India going to be up there in the charts?
Yeah, 100%. There's no way, there's no two ways about, look, we are also very, very low base right now. So that's good.
So the growth rate will be high,
yes,
which is great for people like the Tatas and the good. The growth rate was 15%, but the base was so low that the 15% meant five more medals.
I really hope, I mean, our PM is pushing very hard for 2030 Youth Olympics and 2036 actual Olympics in India, which will just change the way people look at sports in India. So I'm really hopeful those two things happen and maybe we'll have a good basketball team as well.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Amen to that.
Sangeeta, do you want to ask a question? Yeah.
Yeah, so congratulations. What a fantastic outreach this has been in terms of data and updating us in like one evening. Vibha, I had a couple of things playing on my mind. We've not discussed terrorism and the loss of privacy and the implications of what technology is going to do for terrorists. Given we as a democracy have been victims and we have very belligerent neighbors, China is doing extremely well on developing robots and AI robotics. I have one huge fear about that because if you remember, the Mahabharata talks about a bomb which had the light of 1,000,000 suns, and that very clearly reflects what happened with the nuclear bomb.
Okay, let's take that. That. So terrorism and AI, and is China or any other country going to develop 1 billion new species, 7 feet tall, 50 feet wide chests, and then demolish all of us? So where are we seeing this? Anyone have a take on this? We were going to have Dr. Firoza Parekh on this panel. Unfortunately, she had to go to the US. She would have been perfect to answer your question. But looks like you want to take a stab at it.
No, I mean, I'm just saying that from technology-wise, anything is possible. And that's the fear, right? Like with AI and with tech, that will be possible, right? Yeah. So I think you'll always live in this fear and you'll also always have to keep innovating and making technology used for the good of mankind.
Think about
but there'll always be people who use it for the wrong. Yeah, there's...
When we had the 9/11 attacks and when we had the Gateway of India attacks, you could put a face to the terrorist, right? You could say this is X person from X country. Now you'll have a machine come in and that chip will be made in China. So that's it. Like your black box will be limited to where the chip was made. Other than that, you'll have no identity. So you could have now nameless, shapeless enemies coming through and we won't even know where they came from. So it is a very scary. And viral attacks, cyber security. We cover a lot of this in the book, actually.
So you didn't talk about cyber security. And let me tell you, the next war is not going to be the physical war and a bomb girara and all that. It will be a cyber attack. And one single cyber attack can finish the whole airport system of the country, the whole railway system, the whole power system. So one cyber attack, there will be no power in this country. So no mobile phone, no WhatsApp messages, no Twitter, nothing will happen. So I think we have, when you do use technology, it can become a monster also, and it can save. Nuclear technology we use for chemotherapy, but it can also destroy people. So today, all the chemotherapies that takes place in hospital, they use nuclear technology, they use thorium over there. So yeah.
Nuclear technology is a good example of a very dangerous technology which we managed to control with very few accidents, no nuclear bombs after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And we talked about cyber attacks. People are suggesting that AI is the best defense for cyber attacks because you need to defend yourself immediately and nothing else is fast enough. So the dangers are definitely there. But the solutions also lie in the technology. But as human beings, we have to keep working to make sure that we use it for good and not for evil.
It's perpetrator and defender and supporter. So it seems very complex. Neil, last question to you, and then we're going to close this.
We've spoken about man versus machine. We've spoken about man with machine. But I want to know more
We've spoken about man, a machine within man.
That's what I wanted to ask about, machine in man. Okay. So can you see something like Neuralink becoming a reality now, where you have the machine implanted in you, a chip implanted with you, where you can process data like AI and then use that to augment your work?
Well, I think it is already happening, isn't it? I think that the latest results of Neuralink have been pretty positive, and while it's still early days, I think there is no doubt that the quest of man has always been to improve upon himself in any which way possible, and I don't think you're ever going to be able to curtail that. It'll come with a lot of other moral and ethical issues. There might be a whole different class system that emerges based on who is more bionic than the other, and therefore who is able to do certain tasks over someone else. And those are the debates, and those are the moral and ethical debates that we're going to have to grapple with as we go forward. But it is going to be a reality in the coming years.
One thing I'd like to say is that it's very cool about how technology is almost following the movie industry, right? So if you see even Elon Musk's new range, right? The robots the iRobot, entire movie, like the vehicles look like that, the robot looks like that. And I think that's very cool that what we imagine and in art form is actually what engineering then tries to live up to.
Absolutely. If you watch a film like Minority Report, I mean, that actually was so prescient about so many things that are happening today. Exactly. And of course, Black Mirror.
Yeah. That's
okay, so the creative people win, and the creative people already foresee in the future. Maybe one of you should have written this book. More paranoid. Okay, on that note, we're going to end this panel. It was just fabulous having you all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Can we pass out the tokens, please? We're just going to give out small tokens of appreciation. In the meantime, could all the experts who are in the book, who are present here, please join us. Please join us, Ratna. Please join us, everyone. Mirabel, Brinda Miller. So many of you are here. Please, could you join us? It will be fabulous to have you.